Bitter work to change. Carden came to Jaune once again during his practice of the elements. Jaune, to what do I owe the visit, Carden? Carden was seen scratching the back of his head. Carden, I want to get stronger. Jaune, isn't self-improvement the best kind of training? Carden, yes, but I know I'm outclassed by many of the first years here. I want to become a better versions of myself. Jaune swung his arms and relaxed his stance. Jaune, I'm not much of a teacher, Carden, but I see what you need to learn and I hope I can teach you properly, but remember this. Hard work is bitter work. I won't teach you if you decide to back out in the middle of it. Are you sure you want this? Carden, I've thought about it a few days after our talk. I need this. Jaune. Alright, let's begin. The Avatar taught Carden about discipline and foundation. Carden was armed with his mace in a tense stance waiting for an attack, as Jaune came in from out of nowhere. Jaune. Rock slide. Carden, being shocked, fumbles and falls on his tush. Jaune pulls him back up and fixes his stance to be more stable, and he flicks his forehead. Next exercise, Jaune puts a giant boulder on his back as he began doing push-ups. After that, Jaune created a line on the ground as Jaune puts on rock armor as he dashes towards Carden, who at first jumped out of the way only to be berated that some problems cannot be dodged or put off. He must always learn to discern on when to stand your ground and when to fall back. The next attempt he stood his ground but was knocked off. The third try he firmly planted his foot on the ground and held firm when Jaune hits his was able to stop it, but he did something better. He pushed Jaune back. He smiled at him and gave him a thumbs up. They continued training day in, day out. Carden was now balancing on two rock pillars, juggling a weight and keeping his stance up. Jaune walked below him and then bends the pillars to shake. Unlike before, Carden was now unmoved. It was indeed bitter work, but the results were worth it. Some more were inspired by what they were doing and joined in the training. The rest of Team RDL apologized profusely for what they have done to Velvet, and the others they ran intro. Velvet joined in, so she could train more to surprise her team when they come back. Neptune, who got here and advanced to look for his irresponsible leader, joined in, as he had a lot of spare time. He was interested. Jaune gathered everyone for the first exercise as there was a huge wooden pole right in front of them. Jaune. Alright, who here thinks they have what it takes? Carden stepped forward eager. He took a bow and arrow from the armory and shot at the top of the pole. Jaune. Thank you for volunteering. Now retrieve the arrow. Carden pulled up his sleeves, but was stopped before he could climb. Jaune. Wait, you forgot something. He pulls out a couple of stone discs with ribbons on them. He ties them on Carden's wrists. Jaune, this represents discipline. He raised and drops left hand. Jaune, this represents strength. As he drops Carden altogether. Jaune, you need both to reach the arrow. Carden made an attempt and reached a good amount until he couldn't keep his position as he drops down. Neptune tried and falls flat. Velvet did and landed on her ass. Jaune, we have a long way to go. Everyone was lined up as Jaune took some bow staffs from Beacon's training equipment and distributed it among them. Play I'll make a man out of you. Jaune, let's get down to business. To defeat the Grimm. Did they send me daughters when I asked for sons? You're the saddest bunch I ever met, but you can bet before we're through. Mister, I'll make a man out of you. They all followed Jaune's movements, but they were sloppy and ended up hitting each other. The ones that were good was Velvet and Carden. Jaune was balancing a bucket of water on his head as he held a staff and ordered the team to throw the pebbles at him as he blocks all of them expertly while keeping the bucket balanced. Jaune. Tranquil as a forest, but on fire within, once you find your center. Carden was now in Jaune's place while he was holding a staff. The rest were holding pebbles and was looking at him smiling. They threw a barrage as he got hit a few times, and Carden, trying his best, ended up flipping the bucket upside down and landing on his head. No longer able to see, he swung wildly and luckily hitting one stone back at Neptune. Jaune, you're sure to win. You're a spineless, pale, pathetic lot, and you haven't got a clue. Somehow I'll make a man out of you. Next test. Jaune launched flaming darts at them as they attempt to dodge. Dove. I'm never gonna catch my breath. He was able to avoid getting hit, but narrowly. Carden. Say goodbye to those who knew me. He tripped and hit the floor only to get a dart in the ass. The next tests. Sky. Why was I a fool in school for cutting Jim? He punches a brick only to break his hand. Russell. This guy's got them scared to death. Jaune and Velvet were training in martial arts, but it seems Jaune had more experience since he got a punch in Velvet's face as she falls on her butt. Velvet. Hope he doesn't see right through me. Neptune. Now I really wish that I knew how to swim. We see them on the part of Beacon where there is a pond where Jaune erected pillars of stone for them to walk on. Neptune was leading the line, but his hesitation caused him to stop on a pillar and ended up causing traffic and sending all of them into the water. We must be swift as the coursing river. Be a man. We see them all training their bodies with a variety of weights, with all the force of a great typhoon. Be a man. The guys were carrying loads, but Velvet was having difficulty keeping up, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Velvet tried, but was having trouble keeping up due to the difference in biology. Jaune. Time is racing toward us till the grim arrive. Heed my every order, and you might survive. He faced Velvet and told her she can't continue due to her lagging behind. But what she doesn't know is he said that to challenge her to prove him wrong. You're unsuited for the rage of war, so pack up. Go home. You're through. How could I make a man out of you? The rest practiced meditation, but Velvet was going to push onward. We must be swift as the coursing river. Be a man. She tried climb the pole with the weights again, but same method, same results until she had an idea. She tied the two weights together and climbed using the weights as leverage. With all the force of a great typhoon. Be a man. She was nearing the top until the others heard her efforts and looked at her. Carden cheering her on while the others couldn't believe it. With all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon. An arrow lands in front of Jaune, breaking his concentration as he looked up to see Velvet sitting on the pole with a confident smile. He knew she had it in her. We must be swift as the coursing river. Be a man. We see Carden run through a barrage of darts, not getting hit once. With all the force of a great typhoon. Be a man. We see Neptune acrobatically crossing the pond in balance, no longer afraid of the water. With all the strength of a raging fire. We see Sky, and the rest were finally able to break the bricks with their fists. Mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Everyone vastly improved. They celebrated their progress, and Jaune applauded them. Days later, Velvet was now being specially trained after a revelation on Jaune's side. Velvet, if you are an earthbender, why do you primarily use wind? Jaune, the wind is one of the guiding forces of nature. It fans the flames, weathers the earth, and moves the tides. It's also a reflection of wind's unstable nature. The wind is one of the elements in nature that is totally unstable and can't be controlled, always shifting between benevolent and malevolent of its own accord. Earth may be my primary element, but the changing wind was given to me for a reason. Velvet, I never thought of the wind that way. Many people consider wind a weak element and pointless to worry about. Jaune, and yet nature reminds man to fear the wind. No matter how gentle a breeze can be, it has the capacity to turn into a hurricane. Velvet nods. Jaune, if you truly want to surpass everyone to prove them wrong on looking down on you, you must be as unpredictable as the wind but fierce as fire. Jaune, breathe in, breathe out. The sun has risen and has started the dawn of change. Page end.